And hey, he's bringing things from the past, zombies, dead people.
Yeah.
He loves living in the past. It seems like to me, he does not want to move forward in life. So
very accurate.
This is Oliver. He's a little lonely. See, Oliver doesn't have any friends.
You're weird.
You're a freak!
Thank you.
I'm looking for a friend.
He had so many friends. He was everybody's friend.
This is something I really have to do, Mitch. You understand, don't you?
Martin, how's it going?
Good. Good. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing all right. Where are you at currently?
I'm currently in the UK. I'm in the northeast of England right now. So it's like early evening here.
Yeah, it's dinner time for you, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to like stop this interview and go and eat. Okay.
Hopefully it's something good, right? Man, I have so many questions to ask you about this film. This was, I don't know how to even describe it. It was weird. It was interesting. It was funny. It was just odd. I love the kind of, it's such a blend of genres and different things. It's like you can't pinpoint it really what it is, but it's fascinating in every account of it. When you first saw the script, what was your kind of initial reaction to what you were reading or what you were pitched on? Did you kind of have a moment of confusion, like, wow, this is going to be wild and wacky potentially?
Yeah, no, I think all of the above. I think I read it and I mean, I loved it immediately. I thought, wow, this is fantastic. You know, and had such an authentic 80s feel to it. And then I quickly found out it was in fact written in the 80s. So that's why it had such a legitimate and kind of genuine feel. And I think that's why it's this kind of, you know, I guess cross-genre movie, because in the, you know, obviously in that era, a lot of movies did cross across multiple genres, whereas it's less common these days. It's more difficult to get those films made. So yeah, my instinct to it was just, wow, this is wild. And it was, I could see it immediately in my head. And it was, you know, visually and story-wise, the sort of movie that I really kind of like to make and to watch as well. So yeah, I just thought, oh, this is bonkers. We've got to get it made.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
One thing that obviously stands out is, like, first of all, credit to the cinematography and DP for all that, but the colors of this film, man, the pink is just so prominent, but it gives you this eerie thing about the pink, because it's kind of like this, like, bleached out pink. It's almost orangey, and like the room and the bedroom, and the home, like, and then it looks like with the TV and everything set like in the 1950s. It just gives you this creepy, weird vibe that's very settling too for this setting. Tell me about the color use of the and the props of this, because I think that's like honestly, it's a character in this film for so many reasons. When you look at it, it gives you a reaction and a feel for it.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think it was kind of, you know, kind of obviously start off leaning into the 80s thing and that kind of color palette. But then I've kind of like explored like I guess the more neon sides of pinks and things in other projects. And it's like, it didn't feel quite right with this, because it was almost as well had this film, the story has this kind of slightly elevated, almost fairy tale quality to it. So I was kind of like, we ended up leaning into more of these kind of like vintage sort of pastel pinks and pastel purples and things, which actually worked really, really well. And we kind of embraced it. And then we like, once we saw like the house on camera, we were like, oh, let's put some more pink. Let's put some more in, And it just worked really well, because it, you know, it ends up as kind of like, certainly in the house, it's like, this is Oliver's world. This is Oliver's safe space. You know, we are very much seeing the world as Oliver sees it, particularly in his house. So I wanted it to have this consistent, elevated look to it. So and I also just like the color pink. So it's also selfish.
No, you don't see it often in movies like that. The way it's used too, especially it's got a cool horror look to it too. I'd never imagined that, like, sort of this kind of like blend of pink can look so eerie and creepy too. I feel like now horror movies could maybe steal something from you here because it gives it a vibe. And you mentioned that the 80s being influenced, but I got so much of not only the 80s, yes, the colors and all that for sure. Yeah. But like the 50s seem like, the TV dinner, the perfect family sort of thing when he's, when the mom's in the pool, like that sort of looked like an idealistic 50s world too. That must have been an influence, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you said that. You're actually the first person that said that to me. And that was completely spot on. It was when we were, I guess, designing the film, we're like, okay, so the film was written in the 80s, it's set in the 80s, but the influence of the home and the mother would have been more of that of the 50s, so that's why it has that 50s, early 60s type feel and look to everything, because that was her world. Does that make sense? The mother's world, and it's the whole mother's home, Oliver's home, is though it's kind of like it's been preserved in time. It's been kind of dipped in aspect, and we find ourselves now in the 80s, but it hasn't really changed much from the kind of 50s, 60s, a little hint of the 70s in there. And that was exactly the idea, that it kind of felt like this time capsule, so to speak.
I understood that because like it seems like he's the kind of person, like, the mother dies, he's left alone. It's like he's not going to change anything about what remains in the home. It's her home technically, and the TV's old school and the furniture and everything. And it's like he's just living in the space, but he's not rearranging or changing it according to him, because he's kind of vicariously living still through his mother, and only remains of it is that setting that she left behind.
Exactly. Yes, I'm glad you got. Hopefully, some more people pick up on that as well.
It was cool. It was definitely noticeable. The colors and that, I'm like, oh, that's an interesting way of putting it, because it kind of makes him why he's the loneliest boy, because he's still living through the past, and the remains of the past are still there influencing him. And hey, he's bringing things from the past, zombies, dead people. He loves living in the past. It seems like he does not want to move forward in life. So
very accurate.
So Max, I mean, he doesn't have much credit to his work, but what a find he is. I mean, just I didn't even know how to characterize him, just like the movie too, because he's seems like a sweet person on screen, the character, but also very eerie and bizarre. There's some things going on, obviously, from his past with him, but the way Max conveys it is just phenomenally. He's got this like you almost feel sorry for this person. He's such a gentle little delicate person, but then he's got a morbid mind. It's just, he transformed this so well.
Yeah, no, he was great. I mean, the first time I saw Max, spoke to Max, I was like, oh, this is Oliver. This guy can do it so well, and he understood the character so well straight away, and really understood and went on this journey to try and understand Oliver, understand how the performance should be. And then he kind of called me one day and was like, oh, this is a story about a kid who's grieving. That's what it is. Grief. That's his emotion. That's everything. It's grief. So Max just totally got it, straight away. And I just think he is, I think he does such an amazing job. He's such an amazing talent, and he can sing as well. Like, the kid can act, he can sing. The guy's a joke. Like, it's like the end of the movie, the song at the end of the film is actually Max singing.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, over the end. The song over the end scene is actually Max singing. He's got like an incredible singing voice as well. He was all in for the role. I think he did an amazing job. I think he's created a really iconic performance, to be honest.
No question. Hey, there might be a prequel here or sequel, right? Potential. I mean, we might have Oliver as the new kind of intriguing horror-verse character here, potentially.
Yeah, he's kind of like, exactly. It's super. That would be Oliver's a sort of rival for Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees. It's like he's definitely. He's a very unique character, and it's
more likable for sure than those other guys,
Yeah, very true.
Great job. I enjoyed the film. I love that there's such a blend of everything in it, and it's so unique and different. You know, not many can say they stole from it, because even with the colors and visuals, this is original in its own. It's in its own right. It stands alone. So fantastic job, Martin. I've seen your previous work. I can't wait to see what's next from you. I love that you always have a interesting spin on things.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Jim. Really do. Thank you.
Hey, great work. Hope to talk to you on the next one.
You too, man. Lovely to speak to you. Thank you.
Have a good dinner.
I will.
Bye.
Bye, man.
The loneliest boy in the world.